Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Jehad Fathy from Egypt. Jehad is a businessman and political analyst. He's here to discuss the ties between business and politics. Jehad, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Well, thank you, Peter, for having me today. My story is maybe it is not so complicated, but it has a mix between business and politics. Well, it started with my educational background. My education has a mix between political science and commercial and business.
Mhm.
So is my career actually. Well, I started to work as a political researcher in various think tanks. I would not, I wouldn't like to mention any names because, I'm here on my own. So I'm not representing any think tank that I've worked or currently working with. And at the same time, I had to, mix my career between business and the political aspects to pay the bills. I've worked in various positions within various businesses in the private sector, and all of which had been combined are related with the business development. So I worked in a full-time job as a business development executive, and I worked as a business development consultant. So all of which had, helped me with my skills, which combined from both the business and the political perspective. So when you told me about the story or the whatever we are speaking about, I thought it is always a blind spot for people to have such perspective, the one with the political perspective into the business.
Okay. In Western world, and I believe is the same in your neck of the woods, that there is like higher moral standard that say that economy and politician should be separate. Government should just take care of the economy by not interfering at all, if possible, by lowering taxes and just assume or provide the same or the fair game for everyone. However, whenever things start to get in the wrong direction, like right now when they are shooting at the boats that are driving cargo towards Europe and US, we always rely on government to send army there and to do something. Even if it's economy, we don't say, okay, we have to assume extra risk in order to do this or to travel there. We always go back to the government and say, okay, you have to do something. So I would also speculate that politics is the way how you manage government. And I would like to know your take on how much should government interfere into the economy and how much should economy interfere in the government?
Well, as much as you try to separate, they will always be connected. They will be connected in a good way, and they will be connected in a very negative ways, and many ways. The good way is the natural order of things. There is always a linked points between politics and between economy and, of course, businesses. If we would like to have a stable country and a productive country, it must apply the principles of good governance. So in this situation with the good governance, we had, to separate everything. However, this is not tangible or always will be easy to do. But there is a normal link between politics and economics, And that's why in many cases, like, one of the most famous colleges that teaches politics and economics will be the London School for Economics and Political Science. We took this model here in Egypt in Cairo University, and we have the Faculty of Economics and Political Science also. So it is connected in a way, in a normal way. However, when we speak about the negative side, we would have many negative, how should I say this? Maybe negative or negative behaviors. It's just behaviors of people who try to manipulate the connection for their own gain. So if a politician in power and he is trying to manipulate this connection between a certain political situation to benefit from an economic one, to get an economic benefit, or maybe a businessman who tried to have an office, maybe in the parliament or any political office that he can be elected to by a twisted way or to secure more economic gains, which all are going to be a corrupted behaviors, and of course it is against good governance. So this is how I see it in objectively where it can happen in any country.
Okay, I would like to have your take on my point of view. My point of view is that government should interfere with macroeconomic environment and should stay out of the microeconomics, and just taxes can be part of microeconomics, but everything else government should stay out. What's your take on that?
Well, my take, and it's also my experience, that there should be a balance between both, why? Because in the 20th century, we had it's the Eastern versus West and the Cold War. So it was the capitalist against the communist, and the communist has to go all in, the state go all in to even to the microeconomics. However, in the West, most of the countries in the West had it is the free hand of the economy, it's the free market, and they call it the guardian state, where it take care of defense, it take care of the judicial authority, and it take care of just general things like diplomatic representation of the country, but it doesn't. We will leave the free market to the invisible hand, which Adam Smith spoke about, the invisible hand, which will, at every economic disaster or economic catastrophe, it will, rebalance the market. However, when we look closely, we will find out that even the Western and free government had to deal and go in to put things in order. So my take will be, I maybe have a little bit, my opinion would be closer to yours. Why? Because I see in Europe, in Western Europe, in France and in Germany, they have, good medical care and good educational system, which is supported and subsidized by the government. However, in other countries like the UA and the USA, it is, education is not free, and it is not supported by the government. It's supported by another capitalist way in the market, like, student loans and so on. But I think the best option for countries like in Egypt, we have a similar point of view, which we had we had two eras. There is an era where the political situation was near the Eastern Bloc and the communist, and another era which we were going more towards the free market and the West. So I think that we took some advantages from the East and some advantages from the free market.
Okay.
So I think it is better to be balanced, and there is no handbook or no manual that every government should do. It is always, according to the own country's environment.
Okay, I would like to have your point of most of the governments right now are not lean. They spend a lot of money and they employ a lot of people. So
Sure.
how important is government spending for the local economy?
Well, government spending, from a scientific point of view, it should be like, when, Keynes, they call it the Keynes solution. When they had like a depression or something, they go all in for the infrastructure. So the government spending go up, and of course it pushes the productivity of the whole economic system forward. Government spending, in my point of view, I think in the normal cases should be moderate or lower as possible. However, if they need to maybe to interfere to put things in order, of course, um, this is how they should act, because this is how they should be. Or I think that's why we did the governmental system for the start. I think that governmental system is I don't think it is good, but we must have, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I will provoke you a bit on this topic. Would you believe,
Yes.
like every government, when they justify their spending, they always hint that the nation would just go into the oblivion if they would not spend enough for army, if they would not spend enough for their infrastructure? Would you agree with that thesis?
Well, it depends on the situation, because in many cases, especially, maybe I will speak because I live in the Middle East, a lot of the countries around us, including mine, we have a politician who speaks about national interest, and we must increase spending on the national interest, and we actually don't see as citizens the results. So when this is the situation, when there is, um, like a bigger, maybe like a bigger, a bigger chance for corruption, where of course the government spending must be monitored closely. However, if a country that is in dire need for protection, they must of course spend more on the army or their police or their security services. And if there is a situation where there is like maybe a dire need to develop the medical installation to ensure the population health, of course they should do this. But it is a matter of scarcity. There is no government in the world that have it all, that could be having everything that they need. Of course, resources are very limited.
Okay. I would like to address the last topic of our interview, and that is the Secret Service interference in business. What's your take on that? I know that there is always or often justified that Secret Service must interfere in order to protect national interest, and the economic interests are national interest. What's your take on that? Because often the companies that have backing of Secret Service have an unfair advantage in a free market. Where do you see the right equilibrium with working with secret services?
Well, there is no equilibrium when we speak about such situation. When we speak about such a situation, it is just like you said, it's an unfair advantage. I think that maybe in some cases, Secret Service intervene into the business spectrum, and sometimes it is good. It is good when, but it is limited to times, when coups and revolutions, when countries try to, maybe it was in the 60s, countries that go out, try to liberate itself. When it establish a new regime, they usually, um, take control of all the foreign businesses in the countries, especially if their system was going towards or leaning towards the Eastern Bloc and the communist ideas. And so at this time, there were a lot of maybe unfair business deals that were going more leaning towards the colonist. So at this time, security services or the security apparatus were being like heroes that are regaining lost rights. However, in modern times, where apparently most of the known world are liberated already or sovereign state. So all the sovereign states has their own free will. In most cases, the interference of security apparatus into the market, it usually are either corrupted or to serve a personal agenda, or it is maybe especially when you check back what the security services do, they usually they had a case against someone, and it was a front for espionage or any other destructive activities, and when they eventually clear out this information to be cleared so people can know it, it may be take like 20 or 25 years. So I can't, of course, stop or like having any negative um, perspective on the security apparatus. And at the same time, if it is a corrupted action, of course, I'm totally against it.
Okay.
And in most cases these days, it is, of course, leaning towards corruption.
Okay. What's your take on big companies slowly becoming states? They have their own security, they have their own intelligence, they have their own connections in the politics, they have their own connection with legislators. What's your take? How will this develop in the future? Will we see more companies that are growing stronger and stronger and have closer ties with politics and legislators? Or are we going more towards free market and letting countries do their job as they should and become more effective? Because these big players, they just make them ineffective.
Well, I think that to get a long story short, I will tell you the answer right away. I don't think that countries will has an easier job to do, or maybe their job won't be easier in the future. It would have a lot of challenges, and the point that you said, it's the point exactly what it hit my mind when you speak when you told me that we are going to speak about why every businessman should know about politics. It is the great example is if well, I'm a little bit confused, but let me try to put my ideas in order. I have two perspectives. That is, I'm I go here and I go here. It is the political perspective from an international relations perspective. Multinational companies, how should we address them? We address them as non-state actors. Currently, in the 21 or the 21st century, they have great influence on the international politics spectrum. That's why they fall in this category, a non-state actor. A non-state actor can be a multinational company, can be maybe an NGO that do good things around the world. It can be a terrorist organization if it's a violent non-state actor. And it can be, of course, private military contractors company. It is always international. I remember, there were a situation where many multinational companies have inside their business intelligence units, they has a political intelligence unit. And this is here the connection from a business perspective that we spoke about. Multinational companies, we spoke already about their influence or how they affect the international relations or international politics. However, they have their own game. It is just like you said, they are becoming like states of their own. So their political intelligence employees submit reports to the board. The example I would like to mention here, a few years ago, there was a failed coup in Turkey. So companies that already had an idea about what's going on started to minimize the damage they would take from the implication of this political situation over the economic situation and their benefits. In other countries, if we go back a century to the 20th century, countries used to, or companies used to, they work in Angola. Angola had a lot of mineral resources, and Angola had a cycle of coups, or, it was like a civil war between communist and, of course, supported Western countries. By supported a state by it was a part that is supported by the West and another by the Eastern Bloc. So during this fighting in Africa, in many situations, so like petrol and mineral extraction companies, they always, currently who's in power, we are working with them. If a coup is happened, they are always looking forward who is in power. Do we have a connection with them or no? Can we benefit the situation, the new situation or no? So it started during the Cold War era for the big companies around the world to have their own intelligence units. Currently, there is many theories about current going wars, like in Afghanistan or in Iraq, petrol companies, and the mix between petrol and private military contractors. Because of course, in such high-risk areas, they would like to secure their location, and they can't rely on governmental police or governmental military, even on the international missions, if the UN is sending peacekeepers. So this is why on the rise, it is still rising, and we have seen maybe a new chapter with Wagner Group. Wagner Group was like state organized or under control by the Russian state, and they joined the fight in Ukraine. And after all, they are turned their way into Moscow. So of course, it is a dire or I don't know how to describe exactly. I'm trying to think of the exact word. Maybe a dangerous situation. It is a risk that every government will face if the multinational companies or the non-state actors became more militarized.
Okay.
So I guess
let's finish with that. We covered 3 or 4 points that are extremely important. I would like your take. What should our listeners take from this interview? How should they go, if they're business people, how should they go about politics? And if they're in politics, how should they go about business? Do you have any quick tips or any trade secrets that you can share with us?
Sure. Well, I suggest if they are in politics or had a political office to stay away from business. If I have a company and I became maybe in a political office, maybe I can appoint somebody as the chairman, but not me. I remain as a shareholder after all, but I shouldn't mix both with each other. That's my opinion. And regarding business people, they should be maybe trying to know more about economics in a strategic way, maybe about macroeconomics, because it will affect them anyway. I live in Egypt. When the war started in Ukraine, it was a dire situation if the wheat didn't come out, because the main exporter in the world, or the main exporters to Egypt, are both Russia and Ukraine. And the support route or the export route, it was through the Black Sea, So it was, like a crisis that luckily Egypt and many other countries that it was in the same situations had to had good relation with both parties. So if I am a businessman in Egypt and I have an interest for my company in both countries, in Russia and Ukraine, when I see that war is coming, I will be ready to minimize my assets inside both countries, and I will try to maybe open up a new revenue stream elsewhere, so I can be like strategically stable. If this war goes on, I can have my revenues from other ways that can cover my business expenses and allow me maybe at least to be floating but not sinking.
Okay. Where can our listeners reach you? Where are you available? Where should they follow you?
Well, they can follow me via LinkedIn. I have Facebook page. I'm not maybe like a strong influencer that write or blog a lot, but maybe I can help, or maybe like if they would like to follow me, I think that LinkedIn will be my most channel, because I use it in the most professional way. Maybe I use Facebook and other social media channels, but it is for personal use.
Okay, so I'll include your LinkedIn link in the description below. And Jehad, thank you
very
for
much.
all the details and insights, and thank you for being my guest tonight.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for the opportunity. I was glad to meet you and to speak with you.